more discipline. You're at a place where you can make that choice. Make that choice to be like, nope, right there.
Is it better or is it slower? That was okay.
It's one of two things. Either like the support hand leaves the exercise, or I start chasing the dot around the target.
You just bring the gun over, and as soon as you see some brown, you just start shooting. Look for the middle. Why does it take you so long to start shooting? You over-confirm. Yes, so like you make the sight stop and look like a perfect ball, then you start shooting and just reacting to color. You should react to color off the draw also. Yeah. All right, we're gonna do a fun little assessment drill to start the day off with. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks a little bit and we do not expect you to have a great score, but it'll give us a lot of things to talk about and the rest of the day will kind of, well, feed off of this in some ways. So it's got multiple strings. I don't expect you to remember them all. When we'll have people up, we'll call them out for you before you do them. So you could just observe. So the first one he's gonna do is middle, left, middle, right, middle. It's gonna have a 6-second par time for all of it. So he's gonna shoot 10 shots at 6 seconds.
I forgot your drill, Joel.
You're fine. You still 6-1, you're barely over, considering lowering the gun brought it back up. Next one, 2 rounds each, strong hand only. .7, so you had time to spare. It's important. The next one, shoot the middle target, run forward, shoot the outside 2. Plenty of extra time. You guys come forward, you're fine. 2 rounds each, weak hand only. .59, good to go. Okay. Now, last one. 2 rounds per target, mag change, 2 rounds per target. All right, close. All right, that's the exercise. So we won't talk at you a bunch before now. Just want you to see it. We'll have 3 lines going at the same time. Then afterwards we'll have, well, lots of stuff to talk about. We'll break it apart and work on it little pieces. So again, this is just kind of a cold assessment of your shooting to pay attention to which areas you're maybe a little bit stronger at and which areas you're gonna struggle at. Okay.
The strong hand only at 15 is pretty sporty. Too much coffee and nicotine, I feel like, this morning.
I was gonna say cocaine, but whatever.
I beat all the par times.
Yeah, but you didn't really hit the target. That was part of the problem. Okay, I'm gonna shoot this a couple different ways to kind of give context. We're gonna require you to shoot in a specific way to be successful at this. What we'll be talking about is how the gun looks on each target or how I'm engaging each target. What was wrong with that, or what did you see me do on each target? So I shot, my dot lifts, it comes back down, I'm like, oh, hold on. Okay, it's perfect, then I shot. That was no good on time, right? And it's kind of overkill, I think, for this distance. Let me try it again. Again, pay attention to what the gun looks like on each target. How did the sight look on the target each that time? I'll suggest a bouncing ball. So I didn't, as soon as the dot lifted and it came back down to where I was looking, I pressed the trigger again. Basically the same result on target, but I actually made the par time with change to spare. Is that fair? Okay, let's head down. Let's talk about the last string also. All right, I'll shoot this a couple different ways again. Pay attention to the gun, you can look at the targets afterwards. What was the problem there? I did the bouncing ball like I did from that back there like a good boy. What was the problem? Okay, good. So what do you think the sight needs to look like? I agree, color. Somebody's been paying attention. So I'm gonna try it again. Now when I just see red, like the color of my sight come down, I'm gonna press the trigger. So it's not gonna quite be a bouncing ball, it's just color coming back to where I'm looking, then I'll get on the trigger. We'll see what the results look like. Plenty of time, change to spare, no big deal. And I have the same accountability. You see, like I'm still shooting A's, just doing more with less. Yes, this is good to talk about. We'll be expanding on this. It's really important that you aim small, miss small. So like I'm looking at the very middle of the target where I want to drive bullets. We won't point fingers. Some of you, it was obvious you're looking at the whole target. Maybe why the reason you're asking this question. Kind of look at the outline of the target and try to just center the gun somewhere in the middle. Oddly enough, the bullets just go somewhere on the target. If I look in the very middle, exactly where I want bullets to go, I'm way more likely to hit that. For better or worse. If I look at the whole target, or if I'm like, we'll expand on this, but if I'm shooting targets and I just see like shapes and I'm swinging at the shapes, or I don't quite stop, I'm like, it's kind of inside, and I try to drag hits across it while I'm shooting it, those are not gonna be good results either. So what we're gonna work on for right now is input, which we'll be using this word a lot today. How much effort from me I take to push the gun back on the target. Notice some of you when you shot, like the gun bounced around or went under the target and came back up, and then what the sight should look like. So again, we'll expand on this, but from back there, I did a bouncing ball. I had plenty of time. From up here, bouncing ball was no go at 7 yards. It's gotta be just color. So I'm looking at a small spot where I wanna hit, and as soon as I see the color of my sight come back, it doesn't quite stabilize, look like a ball, then I got on the trigger. This makes sense?
When you were shooting, you noticed like the dot lift and then maybe go below the spot that you were trying to hit, especially when you were shooting strong hand only. Probably a lot of you guys, right? So in other words, instead of the dot lifting and coming straight back down to the spot and being very predictable, it would lift and then dip below the spot, and then you either shot really crappy points or had to make some sort of correction, yeah? Some of you guys noticed this? So this drill is what we would just describe as like an awareness drill. So all we're gonna do on this drill, aim the gun at the white spot. When you hear a beep, you're just gonna fire around and then observe what it takes to make the gun return back down to that white spot on the target. We're gonna ask you guys to stare super hard at the white spot. The way that I like to describe this is like the white spot now is the target. The brown thing is not the target. Does that make sense? And the more I think about that, it's like just the white spot, the easier it is to go about like hitting this thing. Okay, so go ahead and get on the sides of me where you guys can see how the gun is lifting and returning.
Oh boy, that doesn't seem like a good one. Everyone's thinking right now, boy, I hope I don't look like that.
Yeah. What would the problem with that be? Yes, exactly. So like my eyes are completely latched onto the sight. When your eyes latch onto the sight, it's like, how does the gun return then? Really, really slow and very, very imprecisely, right? I'll give you guys this. If all of you guys can pick a spot on the berm and put your thumb over it, kind of like that. Now keep looking at the spot, and you'll notice how like your thumb is more or less transparent, right? Like you could see through it. Okay, move your thumb around like this, around that spot. And notice how like you can move your thumb around and it'll basically stay over top of that spot as long as you're staring at it. Okay. Now do the exact same thing, but stare at the thumbnail and try to hold it over that spot.
I have no idea where it's at.
Bingo, right? So like the more you guys stare at the dot, the less likely it will be to return back down to exactly where you want it to, right? And that's one of the things that we're always trying to achieve. We want the gun to behave in a really predictable way. Does that make sense? More on that here in a little bit. Okay, what do you guys notice the gun doing there? Yeah, so this is super indicative of like, hey, I'm connected to the white spot, it lifts, and then right before it comes back down, eyes connect to that dot all over again. And you'll notice like it lifted, and then it was like, hell yeah, that was about to be really good. And then as soon as my eyes connected to it, what happened? Return really, really slow. Okay, that's not good either. Okay, what do you see there? Driving the gun down, and like how does it return when I do that? That like bouncy thing where it kind of looks like almost like an EKG where it's like it lifts and then towards the end, like that is very indicative of firing hand tension and trying to more or less help the gun come back down. Something really common, especially from this distance, that you guys will notice is like from this distance, instead of the dot just lifting to maybe to the top of the alpha, like it does at 7, this distance you might see it lift maybe the top of the shoulder on the target, right? And it's like, maybe this is subconscious, but like in your head, it's like, I should do something about that. I should help this thing come back down. It never works out good, right? Because as soon as I tried to help it, what did you guys notice the gun do?
Shook.
Yeah, super good. All right.
Finally an example that doesn't make me want to vomit.
Yeah. So like, what did the gun look like it was doing there? Yeah, it was just like lifted and came straight back down to that spot, right? Like that's kind of what we're after here, right? So I'll give you guys this. In terms of grip and stuff, which is grip and vision, which is what we're looking at here, like some goals that you guys should be looking for is not only should the gun behave predictably, but like that should be the way that you go about gripping it and the way that you go about looking to the target should be durable. Meaning like, I can do this for over and over and over again for however many rounds I want to or need to, and the gun does the exact same thing. But if it lifts to a different spot each time and then returns back down to a different spot each time, what's doing that? You guys are doing that, right? By putting different pressures on the gun as you're shooting it. So talk about grip a little bit here, okay? So I think the majority of you, we're gripping the gun kind of sort of similar, where your grip sort of look like something like this, right? Now, the trouble is, it's like, hey, my hands are in the right spot, but what happens when I put different pressures on the gun? What's the gun do? It moves around, right? And like, I'll give you this example here. Like I could point that gun at that white spot, but as soon as I change pressures just a little bit, it doesn't take much to move the gun around this target or off of the target from this distance, right? So I think the interesting thing about grip specifically is the type of pressures that you guys will go about putting on the gun. All right, so that's kind of what we want to chat about here. So when you go about gripping the gun with the firing hand, it should be just enough to where it doesn't move around in your hands, right? So if it's moving around, I clamp down just a little bit more and it's like completely attached to the frame now. That's all I need to give it with the firing hand, okay? If I give it even more with the firing hand, what happens to the trigger finger? It slows down, you lose the dexterity in the trigger finger. What happens to the other fingers when I grip really hard? Yeah, you have like more sympathetic movement, and like that's some of the stuff that you guys will notice when you go to press the trigger like quickly, especially when we go up to 7. Like you'll notice the gun starts moving around and it's like that's that sympathetic movement that I'm talking about, right? So think about just connecting to the gun just enough to not move around in your firing hand when you go to draw it, right? The support hand, what's the support hand's job? Like how hard do I need to connect to it with the support hand? What's that? Okay, so if I asked you guys, hey, grip 110% with the support hand, how long could you hold that for? Not long at all, right? So I'll give you this. Grip hard enough to where the gun doesn't move independently of the support hand, right? So it needs to be completely connected. And to me, the definition of connected is it doesn't move independently. So moving independently would look something like this, right? Like see that gap underneath the trigger guard and my pointer finger? It's like, I know for a fact if that's you, it's like you are only gripping it with the firing hand, all right? So I just want to grip hard enough to where it doesn't move independently of the support hand. Now, if I grip even harder than that, what am I going to get out of that? Does it do anything different?
Fatigue.
Yeah, you just get more fatigued, and that's typically when you start seeing people like, hell yeah, brother, that's the draw that I want, that's the grip that I want. And then the support hand starts leaving the exercise more or less, and then this hand starts taking over. All right, so what we want you guys exploring here is like, number 1, locking onto the white spot on the target, and like what type of pressures do I need to put on the gun to make it do the exact same thing over and over and over again. So it's more or less an exploratory type of exercise.
Love it. Yeah, so to reiterate the drill, you're gonna be aiming at the target. We're not even assessing where the bullets go. We're just gonna be assessing how the sight tracks or how it looks for you. So when you shoot, the sight should come right back to where you were looking. If it goes really high and it takes forever to come back down because you're staring at it, that's a no-go. And if your sight starts to lift, you're like, ugh, you push to try to help it come down and it goes under where you're looking and comes back up, then that's a no-go also. So we'll think of this as input, and I'll suggest just the act of looking, like wherever you want the bullets to go, will be enough to bring the gun back. You don't, like, okay, so I'm not gonna shoot. This plastic gun that I'm probably not qualified to operate, from back here, if I shoot one shot and it lifts, like it's gonna go how much? Like a couple inches higher. How much muscle does it take for me to move the gun this much.
Not a lot.
It's like, it's something, it's not nothing, but it's not much of anything. And I'll suggest to you, just the act of looking and staring where I want bullets to go will be enough to make this little bit of movement that, like I said, it's something, it's not nothing, but it's not that much. Okay, so we'll have 2 relays. We'll have you guys pick a target. Again, not assessing where the bullets go. You'll aim at the target on the tone, fire 1 shot. We're just assessing, does the sight come back to where you look?
You know, like lift and then before it comes back down, starting to connect to the dot. And this is more or less to, I think, kind of an awareness type of exercise, because what we're going to be asking you guys to do here is pay close attention to how the gun is behaving, meaning like what does it feel like it's doing in your hands and what does it look like it's doing on the target, and then afterwards come down here on the target and take a look at the target. And when we look at the target, like, we don't want it to surprise you. Does that make sense? Yep. Like, you should be able to go, hey, I observed enough to know exactly what this target looks like, but like maybe you didn't observe enough. The target is going to tell you a lot about what's going on. Does that make sense? So I'll give you guys a couple different demos here. All right, just get to where you guys can see my gun. Okay, what did that look like in regards to, like, what do you guys think I saw the dot doing the whole time?
Almost settled.
Yeah, yes. It was like a completely stop dot on every single shot. We're asking you to, like, reactive shooting, the way that I would describe this is like you're obviously trying to tie every single trigger press to a sight picture, but we want it to look like a bouncing ball. All right, let's give you a couple of those. Okay, what did that look like? Like bouncing ball type of thing. That's basically what we're asking you guys to do, all right? I'll give you some bad ones here. Okay, what'd you guys start to notice the gun do towards the very end? Yeah, starting to do that like EKG thing. This is very, very normal, especially after like shot number 2 or 3. Shot number 2 or 3, you're like, hell yeah, brother. They're all sinking into the center there. You start falling in love with your work, and then you start doing different shit in regards to what your eyes are doing and what your grip is doing. Okay, give you one more example here. I think I have enough, yeah. Okay, what do you guys think happened there?
Looked at the dot.
Yeah, so it's like after number shot 2 or 3, it's like I started connecting to the dot. And what do we tell you guys about connecting to the dot? What happens? Yeah, it's like bullets will go wherever you look, right? So like if you connect to the dot, I would just expect it to land anywhere on brown, right? Like that's what I would expect, okay? So when we start coming down here and looking at the target, like what we're after here is bullets concentric around the spot that we're looking, all right? And if they're not concentric around the spot that we're looking, in other words, like if there's a different trend other than that, right? Maybe you have some low left. What would that be a symptom of? Yeah, like the firing hand starting to take over and then pressing the trigger with your entire hand, okay? If we have bullets tracking up high right, what would that be a symptom of? Yeah, starting to stare at the dot, for sure. Okay.
So we'll be doing this at different yardages. Again, it's reactive shooting, like what Nick said, so it's dot press, dot press. Well, I was talking about this morning, you kind of only think about one thing at a time. I want you to think about your firing hand and the pressures you're inducing with it. Because a fair amount of you, when I saw, like when you're shooting from back there, especially at 15, you want the gun to go off, your hand would clamp down or you'd push into the gun. So tying that back with that one-shot drill we did where you just press the trigger and let the gun come back, how different should it be for firing multiple shots? I agree. Should not. So even though I'm getting ready to shoot 6 shots now, when the sight lifts, there's no reason for me to have to push it back down. And then you want to just keep your hand relaxed so I can work my trigger finger without having the rest of my hand clamp down or trying to fight into the recoil. Because that was the most common thing we saw from you guys when we were shooting earlier, was when you see the sight where you want it, you want to go now. And when you want the gun to go now, your hand clamps or you push into the gun. So, like I said, I'd suggest placing your focus on your firing hand. Work on just press the trigger straight, don't shove into the gun, try to look cool, you know, that kind of stuff.
More discipline, right? Like you're good at like, hey, I can just full send this thing, but like you need the discipline to be like, nope, right there every single time. Yep. Yeah, and like you can faster. You're at a place where you can make that choice, right? Like before it was like, anywhere on brown, it was fast, it made me feel good, but it's like, make that choice to be like, nope, right there. Stand by. Case.
Yeah, well, I don't shoot whitey. You know, just natural instinct.
Or the middle of the target.
Or the middle of the target. I know.
So if we cut this thing into quarters, notice it's like a firing hand and an input issue.
Yep.
So if we cut, like we divide the target into fourths.
Yep.
Most of it's going low or
down there. Yeah, I felt tension
slow.
in a lot of those shots. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you're not going to push down, like why not just watch the sight and let it climb up the target?
Yeah.
You're making me sad right now.
Sorry.
I know.
Oh. Nick said I was a good boy.
That was
Before he
cold.
looked at the target, though.
You guys can actually see his gun.
So get along the side so you can see the gun. Again, when I get the tone, I'm going to press the trigger.
All right. Stand by. Stand by.
So what do you notice?
Stand by.
Not moving.
And how quickly am I pulling the trigger?
Stand by.
Get on it.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do it another couple times.
Stand by.
Oh, it's perfect that time.
Clean, man.
But what's the problem with that?
Not realistic.
Right, so what we're asking you to do is like, as soon as you see the sight, you register it and you want to push into this, you want to press the trigger immediately. So me slowing down all day and like roll the pressure, that's not going to be very helpful. Okay, a couple more, Nick, if you would.
Stand by.
This is a fair amount of you too.
Stand by.
It's like, I didn't push on it that much. It only went like just a little bit.
You added
But then if-
pinky pressure as you press.
He's a pinky pressure. I'm like, it only looked like it moved this much, but then if I put that much on the target, I'm like, oh no. Now I'm down like the Charlie or Delta. So the goal for this is, you'll be aiming your gun at the target. Finger, we will start with just in contact with the trigger, but not applying pressure. After that, we'll move to having finger forward in the very front of the trigger guard. Then the last iteration, either finger alongside the trigger guard or alongside the frame. The reason for not allowing you to prep on the trigger or put, let's say this thing takes 5 pounds to go off and I want to put 4 pounds, like that's probably not realistic. So we're trying to recreate the issues you're seeing. Whereas, I'm like, hands at my sides, I draw the pistol, I'm like, nope, do not touch the trigger, it's not on the target, let's wait. And then once the sight gets on the target, I'm like, yep, the sight's there, I'm ready to shoot, then I'm pressing the trigger. The gun lifts, it's like, well, the sight's not back where I'm looking, I can't press the trigger. And then as soon as I see the sight come back, it's like, now's the time, so I'm gonna press the trigger. So again, that's the reason for adding the urgency, and then we're gonna change the position of your finger to the trigger.
Stand by.
Oh, wah, 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 wah. Your name's Jamison, you should be really sad right now.
Stand by.
Ah. And right here.
When you walked away, it was better.
Stand by. Is it better or is it slower?
That was
Stand by. That was okay.
What did it look like when it went really poorly for you guys? What did you see and feel? Because I think this is just as important as knowing like what good feels like.
dot left where I was looking on, and I felt tension in my right hand.
Okay. What did it look like and feel like when it went well for you? If it went well for some of you.
Joel said not bad.
Sweet. He was just as surprised as I was.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa,
For a change.
you can do that?
I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Any questions on that particular one? If you guys did that drill for like a minute or two a day, I think you'd be in a whole lot better place. All right. And
Like
when
mentally
you do
or
it,
what?
what's that?
Mentally or what?
Yeah, all the above.
Probably a worse
Yeah,
place
for sure.
mentally.
So like when you guys do it, you're trying to, like when I do this, I go like, okay, I'm trying to press the trigger and be done with the trigger press before the end of the beep. Right? Like it's that pace. right? And what you'll notice is that type of pace basically reflects exactly what you do in your live fire. It replicates it, which I think is a very good thing, right? So in your dry fire, you should always, we'll talk about this a lot towards the end, but like your dry fire should always be trying to replicate what the issues that you see in your live fire, right? This way we can start trying to apply cause to effect and making those changes in those behaviors. Cool.
Why does it take you so long to start shooting? You over-confirm. Yes, so like you make the sight stop and look like a perfect ball, then you start shooting and just reacting to color. You should react to color off the draw also. Yeah. Last one. Stand by.
Back into what I felt, and then it messed me up there, and then everything else is good and solid back in. And then the last few reps we did, I got about a lot better back in there. But it was funny. That was the second shot on my first string, second on my second string, second shot on my third string, and then everything else was more in there.
Yeah. Like when I do this type of thing that you have going on here, and it's like, yep, that was either the second or third shot.
I know what it was.
It's one of two things. Either like the support hand leaves the exercise, or I start chasing the dot around the target. Yeah. Up to the 7, or maybe even at the 15, I think a lot of you started to notice the firing hand putting a bunch of different pressures on the gun, or maybe putting some extra effort into the gun. Everyone should raise their hand, yes. Okay, so how this drill is going to work, you're going to draw the gun, fire 3 freestyle, and then you'll remove your support hand from the gun and fire 3 strong hand only without breaking the cadence. Okay, so I'll give you guys a couple different demonstrations. Hopefully this will make a little bit more sense here in a second.
Impossible. Nobody could do that.
I think you all about do that. Sorry.
So like, what did my body language do as soon as I removed the support hand off the gun? Like, what did it look like? Like, I need to put extra effort into this thing and try a little bit harder. What did that yield me in regards to results? Shit, right? Like, there's bad results. That's great results, right? Okay. Yeah, I slowed down and got my hits on all of it, right? Now, what you guys will notice is if you shoot it at that pace, how much, like, do you think you will observe or be able to observe with what the firing hand is doing? Probably not a whole lot, right? So we're going to ask you guys to not break that cadence. Okay. Okay. How much effort does it look like I'm trying to put into the gun in order to do that? Yeah, and it's like, does it look like I'm trying to like change pressures or anything? So quite frankly, I'm doing the exact same thing with the firing hand when I remove the support hand from the gun. And you'll notice like, yeah, it moves a little bit more, but like more or less returns back down to the exact same spot. And that's because I'm not trying to put extra effort into the firing hand, all right? One more. Okay, you guys get the idea? So what we're asking you guys to do here is like, when you remove the support hand, try to observe what happens in regards to what your firing hand is doing. Okay, this should be like very, very telling to you. As soon as you remove the support hand from the gun, it's like, either it was good or it wasn't. And a lot of the times it wasn't, right? Especially if you start putting a bunch of extra effort into trying to return the gun.
To discuss.
Woo!
Hold your applause.
Look at that. Hold your applause to the end. Okay, between the two, what did you see for a difference?
One you waited for the dot to settle, the other one you were just you were not reacting, you were shooting predictive.
Nobody likes to know it all, Jamison. I'm just kidding. I like you're paying attention. So the first one you saw me, I pressed the trigger, the dot, like the bouncing ball. It's like very good accountability, but I think there's a lot more potential from this distance. So the second one, what you saw me do is pull the trigger fast, 2 times, and I'll call that predictive shooting. It was fast so that I could make a conscious decision for the second shot. Is that fair? Yeah. So like if you're law enforcement, I'm not suggesting you shoot like people this way, but it's really good for training.
Transients.
Whatever.
Yeah.
For practical shooting, however, this is an engagement strategy for a large portion of the competition.
Yeah.
So what I did was I got the sight where I wanted it to be, so I stopped stable, I pulled the trigger rapid fire, again, fast and I could make a conscious decision. But that doesn't mean I'm oblivious to what happened. After the fact, I could be, hey, I'm really irritated. I felt my hand clamp down and I know it went in the Charlie, but in the moment it was happening so quickly, I was unable to do anything about it. The other thing you'll get feedback from, if it's not tactile like what your hands are doing, would be the sight. So I'm watching the sight, it's like, oh, cool, magical. The sight's bouncing right back. I'm like, oh no. You know, it's like, I'm not really sure how bad the damage is, but for sure, on the second time I felt the trigger, I saw the sight slash way down on the target. So I know it didn't go where I was wanting to. So the feedback will either be, I'll feel something or I'll see something. Either way, I'm along for the ride in the moment. I cannot do anything about it. But after the fact, I could be like, yep, I saw, felt, and then I could try to make a change to my grip or the inputs I'm doing based on that. Like I said, call this predictive shooting. I think this is the best way to work on your grip because I can slow down and add accountability really easily, but it's a lot tougher to speed up. So for this, we're making you shoot at maximum aggression, just paying attention to like the little nuances of your grip where it's like, I tense a little bit with this one or this hand does this a little bit, kind of like steering the gun because obviously that's gonna have a big effect on the target.
Yeah, I think like as a training strategy in general, this is really good, right? And the way that I like to kind of, explain this is like, if there's a turn on your way home from work that you typically take doing 55, but today you're gonna go 75, what would that feel like? Yeah, exactly.
I'd be
Similar.
texting and driving, I wouldn't even probably
Watching a movie or something like that. But it's like, if you think about it, it's like, okay, if I'm not used to going around this turn at this pace, it's like I grip the out of the steering wheel, my wranglers bite the seat. It's like, that's tension, right? That's the exact same things that you guys will probably feel when you shoot this fast the first time, right? So the question always becomes like, okay, well, how do I get rid of that tension or how do I work on that specific piece? It's like, take that same exact example, right? You go 75 every single day around that turn. You don't die, you don't wreck your car, none of that stuff. What would 75 feel like at the end of the month? Easy day. What would 55 feel like?
Super slow.
Really, really slow, right? So it would almost inoculate you to the way that this speed feels, right? So I think this is a very good training strategy in general for trying to get rid of that tension, right? And the answer is always like, just keep going at that pace and try to become more and more used to that type of pace. And that's not to say that we're going to ask you to shoot every single thing that we set up today at that pace, but it's like, if you can more or less start getting used to that at a faster pace, it's like slow or letting off of the gas is way, way easier. Make sense?
All right, we're gonna have you shoot a little bit farther back also. Let's move back. I want to shoot from the next yard line. Let's see if there's a change at all. So from here, I've doubled the distance to the target. What do you think should change about my shooting? Maybe. Other thing, I think I should, it's twice as far. You think I need to slow down on how fast I pull the trigger or anything? Jamison's a just send it guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try it.
What's driving here with him like?
He drove.
Dude.
He drove like a crazy.
Jamison's a madman at everything he does. Who are we kidding? Go back further. All right, let's go look the target over. So from all the way back there was the backyard line, the second pair. Much to my eternal shame, I watched the sight, it went up, I did that one, and I was instantly, like, I was angry, like right now. Yeah, and I saw the sight do that, and I'm like, mother, okay, whatever. All I can do about it now is just not do that again. Then after that, I'll just try to stay laser focused on where I want the bullets to go, let the side track back there. But notice my demeanor didn't really change, and the speed at which I was shooting didn't really change. Would everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now the trippy part is, from 5, which I shot at 10 or just now it was 15, the sight is moving, let's say it's moving like this. At 5 yards, it doesn't seem like such a big deal. At 15, that little bit of movement goes a little bit more. Let's say I'm doing it at 25. Then the sight starts to go over the target, but it's just bouncing up and down. What should change about your behavior or what you're doing? is that I will suggest it's easier said than done. Because once you see the sight start to move up, oh no, you gotta try to help it or stop it or push into the gun or change something about you. Instead, just trying my best at any yard length, I'll just stand there like a middle-aged computer nerd and just hold the gun with just my hands.
Pretty accurate.
100%, just lean into it. Try not to affect my shoulders help, where I'm like, don't push down, don't fight the gun, don't stare at the sight, just laser focus where I want the bullets to go and just hold the gun with my hands, but not get the rest of my body or my stance involved trying to fight the gun.
Well, the gun's moving the same whether you're at 5 yards or 50 yards. It doesn't matter. It's just that you're seeing the difference in the pattern.
Yeah, you
so
perceive
just
it
gotta
to be
wait
moving.
100%.
So you can start fighting it then.
Let's say we're back at like 40 yards, like that little bit of movement, then the bullet starts, like the sight would be going over the top of the berm. But it's really like, oh no. Since it's doing that, it makes you want to change your behavior. So the tough part is, we'll let you start out at close, we'll go back a couple yard lengths depending on how it goes. Nothing should change about your body. I just saw me just stand there, I drew the gun, I got the sight stopped and stable where I want it to, rapid fire pair, let the gun quiet down where it's no longer moving, recenter it back to the target if you need to. Another rapid fire pair as fast as I can pull the trigger, make sure the gun's quiet down, center it back in the middle, and another pair. Does this make sense?
Okay. You guys give it a try.
While you guys are at 5, you need to be very critical of what the group looks like. All right? Like at 5 yards, it needs to be, like the goal of this would be basically what Joel did there. Like that's a good goal to set. All right? Let me just real quick, before you guys shoot this, give you an example of why you need to be very critical of what the group looks like at 5. Move back just a little bit. If I just go, hey, I'm just gonna look to the entire alpha, right? And I'm just going, hey, alphas are good, right? That's all I'm shooting for here. We'll see what that translates to when we get a little bit further back. Okay, these are good points if we go shoot a match, yeah? Everyone would be very happy with this. But what does that translate to just 5 yards back? Freaking all over the place, right? So if this is my target, what do I need to do to make this be smaller? Yes, I need to make the focus smaller, right? Now it's like if I look to a really small spot on this target, let's see what changes. I have that thing on delay, whatever. Okay, same exact pace. I just did the visual piece that time. And what does that translate to 5 yards back? Right? So like while you guys are up close, I would highly recommend it's like be very critical of what that group looks like up close, because it's very easy to go like, sweet, all alphas, I'm doing great. And then you move back to 10 and you're like, what is happening? Right? So like while you guys are close, it needs to be, the goal of this would be as tight as humanly possible.
Why are they going low and left, my man?
This hand's put in.
Yeah, you're letting your country and me down right now. More finesse, you see, or less, more finesse, less of your firing hand. You're just pushing into them. No, I mean, I think pulling it as fast again is good because that's going to induce more tension.
Yeah.
Because your shoulders go up.
Too.
Yeah, and your firing hand clamps down.
Like this one here. I'll try.
Yeah. It just induces tension. See what I mean?
I know.
Like the very first shot.
I know.
Ah!
I know.
And then you had a low left also. So yeah, you should practice at full speed.
Okay.
Then you could always back up if you want to add accountability.
Okay, sometimes I feel, okay.
Like in a match, then you'd back off the pacing and shoot
Okay,
for.
I feel like there's layers of predictive for me.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but you should go at it hard.
Just, okay.
And then if you're shooting for a score, then you back up to a place where it's, like where I was demoing this, I was not trying very hard.
Yeah, I saw.
It was very relaxed. It's like
Looked
shoot,
good.
it's like no big deal. Right.
Yeah.
But then it's like, then if I'm practicing on my own, then I'd be going at it harder.
Okay.
Back, get farther back from the target, try to shoot faster.
Okay.
All that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We're gonna do another, well, just make the drill more difficult and punishing, honestly. I'll show you the order and then it'll make sense, hopefully, what's going on. So what you saw me do was shoot the target with the black pasters. Yep, designated target. Shoot the target with the black pasters first, go to a different target I haven't shot yet, back to one with the black pasters, different one, back, over, back. So what you'll find, I know, it's like a calculus or some algebra problem.
See how many rounds.
What you'll notice is as this goes on, like longer and longer in the duration, it becomes easier to start to clamp down with your firing hand, stare at your sight while it moves, forget your order. Just everything kind of gets more difficult and breaks down for the longer engagement sequence. So things to be cautious of, especially like something like this where it's a wider movement. We won't point any fingers or name any names, but it's easy to start moving along with the gun, as opposed to what I want you to do is have your eyes go there first, the gun goes once you shoot, like your eyes find the next target, then your sight goes there. And following the theme from the rest of the day, or earlier this morning, the more precise you can be with your vision, the better off. So don't want you just looking at shapes and colors of the target. Look for the very middle, exactly where you want bullets to go.
Yeah, couple like cues to look for with this. It's like, what is your permission to leave the target? Yeah, so like your trigger break on shot number 2, that's a cue to leave. Like to me, that's the only permission that I have to leave. If you leave before that trigger press, like where does the second round go? Yeah, it typically goes in the direction that your eyes are going, right? And the next thing is like, what do you want to do with your eyes once you leave the target? The answer is race to the next spot where you want the gun to show up at, right? If you don't do that piece, it's like things tend to show up very, very imprecisely. It's like by trigger break exit, what I mean, a lot of you guys are doing this, right? So instead of that, it's like as soon as you get done, right? As soon as you get done, you're racing your eyes to the next spot rather than like bringing the sight back down and then following it over to the next target, right? So look for that trigger break exit in these. That'd be a good cue for you guys to look for. Cool? All right. All right, more transition stuff here for you guys, but we're going to be asking you guys to move your feet now while you're doing some transition stuff. The order of this drill, you'll start right here. You shoot target 1, 3, 2. 3 and 2 get shot from the middle, and then you'll shoot target number 4 on that side of the stick. And we're basically going to be asking you guys to move your feet through the center while you shoot target number 3 and target number 2. Make sense? Okay, give you guys a couple different demos here. Just try to pay attention to like body language, how I'm moving my feet across this thing. This should paint a fairly clear picture in regards to what we're looking for. Super great. Why would that one be super great? Yeah, it's just like I'm looking for a completely stop dot on everything. Yeah, so it's like I came to a stop, and then I made the dot come to a complete stop. It's like that's not what we're looking for. Okay. Okay. What was different about that one? Yeah, I just basically kept moving my feet, right? Like, do you remember the way that that one sounded? Right? If I stood here and just did this, it should sound pretty similar. Right? It's more or less the exact same, except the one before I just moved my feet, okay? Really common things with this, since we threw these visual barriers in the way now, this is not cover by the way, but since we threw these visual barriers in the way, the visual piece becomes harder, right? And that's kind of the idea with this. So like some cues to look for, it's like when you come off of this first target, you should be hunting for the next target, even though you can't see it yet. Right? So it should feel like you're hunting for the next target through this thing. So what you don't want to see is something like this, where you come around like this, and then the gun comes back. It's like that guy is not hunting for the next target. Meaning you want the gun to be pointed in that direction, even though I can't see that target just yet. Right? Ideally, when you move on either side of the barricade, it's like you want the gun to show up ready to do hard intercourse. Right? Like you don't want to show up where it's like, where's the target? And then you have to, realign the sight or whatever. It's like, you just want to be able to leave the gun up and try to track the targets through these barricades. All right, really common things that tend to happen on this. On this target right here, right? Here's the first piece of brown that you see. all the time, dudes will shoot the right side of this target, right? If you're just aiming for brown, I would totally expect them just to land on the right side of the target, right? For this one right here, this is the last piece of this target that you'll see. Therefore, a lot of the time, the rounds end up over here, all right? On this target, same exact thing. Over here, this is the first piece that you'll see. So if you're just hunting for brown, rather than like the very, very center of the target, it's like, I would just expect those rounds to land over there. So it's a really good way of, you know, telling yourself like, okay, if everything is landing in those spots, it's like, I'm probably not looking for the center of each target. Make sense? I don't think shooting the center reactively is helping you.
Yeah.
Look at target 3. Notice how the hits are all
Yeah.
the right. Why do you suppose that is?
Because I look that way.
Because as soon as you shoot here, you just bring the gun over, and as soon as you see some brown, you just start shooting. Look for the middle.
It's almost like someone said that already
That was
today.
the first time I did that.
He said you've never said that to him before in his life.
It's my first time, I swear.
There you go.
Hey, that's a good grouping. I don't know about you, man, but
Yeah, but like way over here is so great. Makes me love everyone even more. There you go. That was pretty okay. It's better, I suppose.
better.
Up, but we're going to be asking you guys to do stuff like shoot on the move even more now, right? I'm going to give you guys a couple different examples here, and we'll talk about times, footwork, and all of that jazz, okay? Okay, it's a 496. Okay, that was a 425. It's like, where did I shave off 3/4 of a second? Yeah, shooting on the move. When I shot on the move, did I shoot slower or faster? Yeah, I was able to shoot even slower than what I did standing still, right? But the entire thing was faster because of what I did with my feet, okay? So the way that this drill is gonna work is you guys will start on the left target and you'll basically work your way to the right. So shoot left to right as you guys are moving up here. You get on the other side of the barricade and then you whack the first target that you engaged in the very beginning, right? I like doing stuff like this because this really highlights what you should be doing with your feet, right? So think about this. Draw 2 lines here in the dirt. These 2 lines will usually be about shoulder width, thereabouts, right? If I do something like take a huge step, right? Step outside of that shoulder width length in gait, what does my hand do? Bounces, okay. But if I step inside of that shoulder width gait, what does the hand do? Absolutely nothing, right? So what I want you guys looking at here, it's like try your best to take that like shoulder width length in gait in regards to what your steps are doing. And what you'll notice is the gun really doesn't do anything differently than just standing still. Does that make sense? Another really common thing, as soon as you start moving, you start becoming more dot focused, right? The more dot focused you are and you start chasing it around the target, the less likely you will be to, you know, shoot the center of the target. So like trying to remain target focused through this, I think is one of the things to look at as well. So it's not like these are chip shots. They're, I don't know, 10 or 12 yards when you guys first start off. So like trying to remain target focused is going to be the thing to look for as well. Cool? Do you have anything to add there, Joel?
Less is more. You'll notice kind of like the trend for all of today. Just look, wait for the sight to float there, and then you shoot. If you try to use muscles to shove the gun or tense up your shoulders as some of you have been doing, it gets way tougher. So like if you watch Nick shoot, he looks pretty relaxed. Just look at the spot, and when the sight floats there, then you shoot. It's just easier said than done because you want to do extra work, whether they're like pushing the gun back or pushing it down and make it stop recoiling. Those kind of things will be counterproductive. Let's just talk through it all. Again, I'll read off the strings before you do it. So from back here, you know, you're gonna have 6 seconds for all the strings. Middle, left, middle, right, middle. What do you need to do to be acceptable at that or to have a good result?
Focus on one small part of the target.
I like that. So look at the very middle of the target, and what should the sight look like? That bouncing ball we talked about. So just reacting to like the color, like wow, 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 wow. That like you could make the time easily, but you're not really gonna have the hits. So now at this point, I think making the time isn't as difficult as getting me, I want 10 alphas within that time, not just hits on brown. So now it becomes a discipline issue where I have to actually look at the middle of the target, wait for the sight to get there, and then shoot an appropriate sight picture, which is difficult. Okay, the one-handed shooting, what did you guys learn from earlier today when we shot one-handed? Yeah, we got 2 people paying attention. We'll ignore what Jamison said.
Well, that's what I noticed.
So then the feedback would be just let the gun do its thing. Don't try to push down, because for some of you, at least initially, you'd push so hard like the gun would go under the target and then come back up. So just look where you want to go, just roll on the pressure and try not to shove into the gun. Okay? So then we're going to shoot 2 rounds in the middle, run forward and shoot the outside 2. While you're getting there, when should I choose to start shooting? It's not a trick question. Yeah, if my gun's coming up and I'm getting close to the target, what do I need to see? I agree. So you just see color in the middle, even if your feet are a little off balance, because just 3 minutes ago, you were doing walking and shooting, a couple different drills where you're walking and shooting, and it wasn't that big of a deal, right? So all you have to do is just look where you want the bullets to go, even if you're a little bit off balance. As soon as you see the color, you're good to shoot. Then you're good to shoot weak hand. And then for that last string where it's 2 rounds per target, mag change, 2 rounds per target, what do you need to do to be successful there? I agree. Look at the middle. It'll be just color. So like the rapid fire pairs we did, you see the color in the middle of the target. It's good to get on the trigger, and then try not to tense up your shoulders or your firing hand, trying to shove the gun hard between the targets or push down. That's it. Just be relaxed. Just try to be cool.
All right, well, beginning of the day, Joel's motivational speech, he basically told you that we were going to, set up things to highlight some things that you'll want to work on. Some really common trends, behaviors. Hopefully you guys were able to see that. And I think that's the stuff that you should be working on going forward, right? And with that, you take a class, and I think the question always becomes like, okay, what do I do now? What is the stuff that I personally need to do after taking that class? And that's kind of why we like to teach like this. It's like we're highlighting specific things that you guys need to work on. So we set up stuff to, induce some of the stuff that you'll want to change, right? So what do we do from here going forward? I think the majority of your training should be in dry fire, like 75 to 80%. I say that because think about how many reps you could get in on any of the drills that we did today in 10 to 15 minutes worth of dry fire, right? You're not stuffing magazines, you're not patching targets. Now, with dry fire, you're trying to mimic the exact same things that you see and feel in your live fire, right? Like you don't want to dry fire and then go out and live fire and be like, well, this is completely different, right? You guys should see the exact same things happen in your live fire. Maybe you're doing something like when you go out and live fire, the marksmanship piece isn't there and you start pressing the trigger with your entire hand. It's like, that's the stuff that you're trying to recreate in your dry fire program to then try to, come up with some sort of cue or something to try to not do that stuff anymore. Does that make sense to you? Now, when you come out in live fire, you should try to make it as simple as possible. If you notice, anything that we did today didn't require more than 4 targets. Sometimes we shot, one of the targets more than once, but it's like, that's super important because you don't want to have to run around for 30, 40 minutes setting up some sort of super duper long drill. It's like 3 to 4 targets, set up a drill, and you're setting up stuff that you guys need to be working on. So something that isn't easy for you, that's the stuff that you need to be working on, right? And then when you live fire, do the thing that I think the majority of people miss, and that's observe what happens, right? So like when you go out and live fire, it should be like, is my dry fire stuff working? And the observation piece is the most important piece of live fire, right? And that's what most people miss. And you should be trying to observe that, so then you could take it back to your dry fire and try to make those changes. It's like a constant revolving door. Does that make sense? So it's like, I saw this one thing happen in my live fire. Whatever I'm doing in my dry fire, I'm gonna try to change to make that one thing, you know, better.
Like what Nick said, so you set the conditions to work on the thing you want to work on. So if you've been at all paying attention, you should have some things you want to work on. So what are some examples of observed tendencies that you want to fix? Perfect. All right, so tension. Okay, great. I want to work on tension. How do I work on that? So if I set up targets at 20 yards and I draw and do some bullseye shooting, and then maybe I check my 0, and then maybe I shoot like maybe 3 or 4 targets from 25 yards, do you think that will induce tension? Or I could set up targets at 7 yards and have like this last little iteration where it's draw, shoot target twice, mag change, shoot target twice. Like, if you think in those terms, like, oh, well, the first example doesn't really do anything for working on tension, but the second one is the one that's going to cause all the issues to come out. So it's important that whether it's live or dry fire, pick the thing you want to work on, set the conditions. I mean, you're basically trying to do yourself in at this point. So like, what's going to make me mess up the most when I'm working on this? So for a fair amount of you, it was also like looking at a small spot on the target, a vision issue, not just looking at the whole thing. So what do I need to do to create that? Oh, maybe I want some targets close, some targets farther away, one that has like a partial on it, so it's a smaller target. Oh, and that's really tough, because then at speed, I'm having a tough time moving from the close target, the focal depth change to the far target, and so on. So anyway, it's really, really important that you set the conditions to work on the thing that you want to work on. Because honestly, I think people are a little bit delusional. If they go to the range and think, well, today I'm going to try to work on my stance, I'm going to try to work on like looking at the middle of the targets better and vision, and I might try to work on tension a little bit too. Like I'm not that smart. I can work on one of those things. Pick one. If I think I'm going to go to the range and shoot just a couple hundred rounds and fix like 5 things about my shooting, I just don't think that's realistic. So notice the drills are really focused on, we're just like assessing one little piece of your shooting at a time compared to trying to fix everything all at once.
And if you had, say, 400 rounds for a range session, right, I think, you know, dedicating 200 of those, like half of that, to marksmanship specifically would probably be pretty good for the majority of you guys. Right, the faster you could shoot the gun straight, the easier everything else becomes. So maybe you pick marksmanship and then transitions, whatever. Like, I think that would be pretty good for the majority of you.
Yeah, please hold your applause till the end. I don't really know
Thank
when
you
the
for
end is, I
dealing
just
with
know what you
Joel
applied.
the
Yeah,
entire day.
exactly. Is there anything we need to do to clean up like trash today?